The weekend is here, rest is near. It's a Friday morning, Plus Sports and Plus TV Africa. Welcome on the show. My name is Wale Scott. I've got Mukail Tinubu with me. Good morning, Mukail. What a morning.
It's been
what a rush.
Slow one. Yeah.
Wow. Sayo Oguntoye, good morning.
Beautiful morning to you, Wale Scott.
Welcome on the show.
Always a pleasure.
Now, top women's seed continue to perish, but world number one Ashley Barty maintained a smooth progress as she reached the third round with a 6-3, 6-3 win over Bosnia's Anna Blinkova. Barty was not firing on all cylinders, but for the Australian never looked like suffering the same fate as 6 of the top 10 seeds have already departed. Elina Svitlona became the highest seed to fail in the women's draw as the Ukrainian dumped to a straight defeat against Poland's Magdalenets. Now, the men's favorites are proving far from more reliable, with 8-time champion Roger Federer beginning to sparkle after the first round scare as he dispatched Frenchman Richard Gasquet for the 10th time in a row without dropping a set. Now, Norrie thrashed Bolt to join Andy Murray and Dan Evans in the third round. The first time 3 British men reached that stage since 1999. Second seed Daniel Medvedev crashed Spain's Carlos Alcaraz 6-4, 6-1, 6-2, while fourth seed Alexander Zverev beat Tierney's Solgoa in straight sets.
Hello, good morning, and a very warm welcome once again to the confines of the All England Lawn Tennis Club, where you join us for further coverage from the championships. It is day 4 here at Wimbledon 2021.
Well, the ground's laid out before us, as always. Looks a picture.
So Alexander Zverev into the third round here, prevailing over Tennis Sandgren.
Cam Norrie's year gets better and better and better. Standing ovation on #1 court.
Well, dare we ask about who you play next, Richard Gasquet or, of course, a certain Roger Federer?
Come on, Gasquet.
Barty has got through somehow.
It's not the most important to feel your absolute best in the first and second round. What you don't want to do is go out. Cam's a good guy too. He's had a wonderful year, played great in Queens, and he's backing up here again. So I know it's going to be a tough match, and I'm happy for him. It's going well, but enough now. He needs to go out, and I need to go through.
Sayo Oguntoye, the prestigious Wimbledon at the All England Club finally starts and is getting better.
Yes, it's really getting better. I'm just taking a look at some of the clips, and I was able to see that there are no really big names there now in the Wimbledon. It's second round, so far so good. No William. I mean, the Williams sisters are not there. The likes of the old Maria Sharapova, you understand? I mean, these are new names now, and I think it's good. It's a good challenge, a good competition. It's likely we're going to have a new winner of this Wimbledon now.
Now, Mukael, Wimbledon, as it is now, most of the top-seeded female tennis players have crashed out. And like Shayo said, new names in the females category, that is. But the male, they are still smoking hot. Andy Murray, Roger Federer, they've still got their own.
For the females, I think it would be disingenuous to say that the fact that most of the top-seeded females are not playing this year means that it will be a walkthrough for whoever is going to win at the end of it. But the fact that the top dogs, as it were, are not available to play, I think it will probably make it harder, because it will give everyone the belief that this year could be their year. And we could be seeing someone winning for the very first time in their career.
Hopefully.
Yes.
Yeah, Shayo, it's the Wimbledon. It's an English event, love it or leave it. And this is the first time in the history of Wimbledon you have three Englishmen at this stage since 1999.
Yes, it's a welcome development. Like I said earlier, it's a new challenge now. I mean, there are no big names in Wimbledon at the moment, especially when it comes to the female cadre now. So it's a welcome development. I think these guys have to just stand up now, because if you look at it, the likes of Williams are already gone. Maybe a Naomi Osaka, is still young and active and vibrant, so she can be able to wage against the likes of these new ones coming up. I think it's going to be a very, very challenging one for the likes of Naomi Osaka to still be number one.
It's Wimbledon. We were talking about how it's polished, how it's advertised. We just watched something now, and that is fantastic footages. Now, is it possible to see an Englishman take it? We have three Englishmen, first time ever since '99, to actually get to this level.
First of all, the English tennis fans can be very proud.
Yes.
That they're having three representatives at this particular year's event. But at the same time, it means more split loyalties, and less for everyone else in the competition. There's less focused intensity of the fans behind these players. I remember when Andy Murray won it, for years the build-up of tension was so significant that by the time he did win it, I could say that the fans wanting and urging him on to win it was a big contribution to the thing.
Now, England and Everton goalkeeper Jordan Pickford was all praise for teammate Raheem Sterling, who has been instrumental in England's performances at the Euro 2020. 26-year-old attacker scored 4 goals, and Pickford, remembers a similar attitude from Sterling when they played together in the Victory Shield for England Under-16s. Now, after England's historic victory over Germany at Wembley in the round of 16, England's number one was happy to put the win down as one of his career highlights. I want the team to use that motivation going forward. England will be on the road for the first time in Euro 2020 as they travel to Rome for their quarter-final clash with Andriy Shevchenko's men. England against Ukraine. Shayo, what's your take on that one? England go up against Shevchenko's men, and they've been a surprise package so far in the Euros. Ukraine.
Absolutely. It's going to be a surprise package. Looking at what Ukraine have brought to the table, they are in this round not because they were fortunate, but because they've worked hard so hard for it. And I want to say that on paper, yes, England have the easiest route to the semi-finals, but it's not going to be like that. I think it will be very difficult, but I think England can still scale through maybe an extra time or a penalty shootout. But it remains to be seen, though, because England have all over them the signature of Raheem Sterling now. He has scored 3 goals in the 4 of what England have got in this tournament so far. So it's more like a one-man show now And if Sterling is clipped, that means England is they are just out. So I think it's going to be a difficult game for them.
It's going to be a difficult game for them, but this game is not going to be as easy as it was against the DMN Shaft, Mikhail. It's going to be harder.
Maybe, I don't know. First of all, I would say the last 5 years, England have notoriously struggled against some surprise package teams like Switzerland, Iceland, Sweden, Greece, and Ukraine. And Ukraine, since Shevchenko took over, have been playing some wonderful football. I think his former striker instincts has really helped the team to shape its attacking identity. The way they don't bow to the pressure of any team. They will attack, they will face you head on, and they will string together some very good plays. And they have some good players who will create some good chances on the counter-attack. So, and as for Sterling being wonderful this tournament, I just don't see it. I think England have been incredibly lucky, and the fact that Sterling is their highest goal scorer and the one who turns up to score the most of their goals just is evident that all of the attacking quality that they haven't quite clicked together. And maybe it's because Harry Kane has been mostly missing in action. After all, what he does for Tottenham is link up the attacking trident. With England, he hasn't really been able to get that link up perfectly well for the team. And you always need a number 9 that is able to not only hold up the ball, but also get into the box at the right time to tap in, but bring the wingers into the play. And I just don't think Harry Kane has done enough of it. And Sterling isn't, to me, the most direct player, even though he can't rely on his pace in this competition because teams are going to defend deeper when they know that he's going to run on them. And he's not the very best at dribbling. So I don't know if England will do well in this Ukraine match. I think this might be the match because once the English teams notoriously get going, they always fall to teams like Ukraine.
Wow. Okay, now this one, I'm surprised about it, so I'll talk about it first. Now, breastfeeding athletes will be allowed to bring children to the Tokyo Olympics when necessary. Organizers have announced after criticism from mothers over rough miles in bringing family to the games. Now, I don't want to go anymore with this story. Let me start with you on this one, Bukayo. It's bad enough that the athletes to Tokyo are not 100% sure they can't get the COVID-19. It's worse off they are telling breastfeeding mothers to come with their children.
It's interesting because in Brazil right now, I think the Delta variant of the COVID-19 has proven to be killing a lot of infants. I don't know if this is the kind of environment, maybe because in the early days of this COVID-19, we assumed that COVID-19 didn't really affect children and even babies, even with their weakened immune systems compared to adults. Yet those stats have kind of swung the other way now. Children are contracting the virus more readily, and babies have started dying and showing signs of susceptibility to the virus. So the organizers are committed to making this thing work. And they will tell you what they need to tell you just to make sure everyone feels comfortable enough to come in.
Okay, Sayo, don't you think this is a very big risk, wanting to let breastfeeding mothers come with their children to the Olympics?
Well, for me, I think I want to talk with what Mukaila said. I think organizers will want to, make you come to the competition they have organized. And I think that's just the way to go for the organizers. While for the athletes, they should just be extra careful because once you are contacted with this virus, it's possible to, make it spread, and before you know it, hazard, spread also with it. So I think it's just okay for everybody. If the competition is going to go on, be extra careful, still maintain the COVID-19 protocols, and I think everyone is good to go.
Well, I think, Kyle, everybody's dream, every athlete's dream is to represent his or her country at the Olympics. So I understand that women will not mind going with their children just to represent. But I would have suggested that the organizer would have said, listen, if you are breastfeeding, breastfeed your kid, stay at home.
Yes, I mean, there are ways to store breast milk nowadays.
Yeah.
And to warm them later on.
Or send them.
At the same time, I mean, I'm not a scientist, but as I understand it, viruses, they mutate. And a mother who contracts COVID-19, even though I don't know the science on this, could potentially maybe pass it on to a baby through their breast milk.
Yes.
And through that means, the virus could mutate, and we could see a new variant spread at the Olympics this year. So it's not getting better per se, because the vaccine makers are still trying to figure out if their vaccines work against all of these variants. And this is just not really the time for any athlete, no matter the ambition, to risk their baby's life. If they don't feel comfortable leaving their babies at home, then they shouldn't come. It's unfortunate, but it's just a reality. And if they do really, really want to compete, then they have to consider that the health of their baby is more important than their need to keep the baby close.
Okay, now, this is good news. Fans of the Phoenix Suns were out in the early hours of today to welcome their team back home after the book took place in the NBA Finals. Chris Paul scored 30 of his 40 points in the second half to help the Suns reach a 130-103 victory over the host Los Angeles Clippers, wrapping up the Western Conference Final in 6 games. The result sends the Suns to the NBA Finals for the first time in 28 years, Mukail.
I remember that game interestingly, because Paul really came to the fore. Throughout the game, he was wonderful, but in the fourth quarter, he really, really took his game to the next level. He scored a combined 22 points within the first 3 quarters of the game, but then in the fourth quarter, he took his game up and finished with 41 points. I don't know if that's a champion mentality, if I've ever seen one. And I think the fact that he's at the age that he is in now is making the need to win this competition more serious, more significant.
I was talking to a colleague yesterday. His name is Bao, and he's a big basketball fan. And he says, as far as he's concerned, the finals has already gone to the Phoenix Suns.
Yeah, hello.
Yeah, he says, as far as he's concerned, the Phoenix Suns already have the trophy. Do you agree with that?
Yes, I want to agree with that, because, the Phoenix Suns do not get to the final every time, and now they've gotten to the final. They should hit it once. You don't get to something, or you don't get to do something over and over again, and now you have the opportunity to do it. Why don't you take it? I think they have what it takes to actually win the NBA Finals.
I think basketball fans, even in America, even in the US, are tired of the usual suspects. LA, Los Angeles Lakers, Miami. We're tired of it. And people would actually love to see maybe a Phoenix Suns make it happen.
Yes, I mean, the good old days when it went from Boston to Phoenix, to Minnesota, everyone seemed to
Milwaukee Bucks.
Yeah, everyone seemed to get a chance to compete at getting this title. But then, I think fans got lost in the thrill of three-peats, knowing that a team like the LA Lakers could repeat the feats of the Michael Jordan era Chicago Bulls. And of course, the franchise became so big that even if you were not an LA Lakers fan, and as long as they weren't playing against your team when they were going into the finals, you were happy to support them. But now, I think fans are realizing that the powers and the wealth needs to be shared more, and players like teams like the Phoenix have an opportunity now. Even the Bucks do have an opportunity to really change the direction that this year's title will go. So we'll see. The finals will be exciting to watch.
No doubt. The National Football League has fined the Washington football team $10 million after a review of allegations of a hostile culture. Okay, now let me explain that to you, Bukayo. The club are being fined $10 million because they were discriminating against women. The working conditions were really, really bad, and the guy just didn't feel like changing anything.
Well, I don't understand what they mean by discriminating against women. As in, women weren't getting employed, or
they weren't getting employed. They weren't being treated right. They were being spoken to at will. The owner did not respect women, basically.
I see. Well, obviously, we always hope for a humane working environment.
True.
And we're living in an era now where we constantly realize that men have a responsibility to treat the workplace in a more civilized manner. I think once upon a time, some men are still used, especially owners and presidents, CEOs, are still used, old era men are still used to a period in time when the workplace, you could speak to anyone however you wanted, because the majority of the people who worked were men. And, you know, the fear of losing your job meant you weren't going to speak up too readily. And the fact that the job market, there were plenty of men who would readily jump into your, to fill your shoes, to fill your position, meant that not every... And now we have more interesting labor laws that ensure and secure people's jobs. You can't just be fired for no reason, no good reason. So now women have an opportunity, and I think as they speak up, other men will also be able to take up the opportunity to defend their positions as well.
Sayo Oguntoye, thank you very much for joining us on the show. Thank you very much.
Always a pleasure.
Bukayo Tinubu, thank you very much.
Always a pleasure.
That's all we can take on the show today. Plus Sports on Plus TV Africa on a Friday morning. The weekend is here, rest is near. My name is Wally Scott. Like I always advise you at the end of every show, if not for anything, at least for your heart, do some sports.